This Honda Civic was bought as a crash-damaged £430 wreck and somehow became a fake SIR, survived terrible modifications, nearly got replaced by a real EE9, and now it's on its way to becoming a B20 VTEC monster. And somehow, all of that helped this channel hit 1,000 subscribers. Let me show you how we got here. The journey began in 2009 when my brother bought this car. It was crash damaged, stoved in right in the middle at the front. He bought it for just £430. It had this cheap coilover setup on it that it still has today. Watch out for a future video on the coilover upgrade. It had a D15B cam in it, still in there. This 8-ball gear knob, a set of skinny steel wheels, and someone had previously done one of the worst modifications I've ever seen, a really dodgy carb needle upgrade that I'll tell you about later in the video. We very quickly set about straightening the front end so my brother could use it as his daily. And naturally I fell in love with a little Honda, so in 2011 I bought my own. An ED7 that had been converted into an EE9, and at the time I didn't understand the value of these EE9 parts, but I'd unwittingly bought a really nice spec car. Unfortunately, one day on a very spirited drive, the gearbox broke and I lost second and fourth gears. Then I made a decision that would accidentally shape this entire build. I broke the ED7 for parts and weighed in the shell. And I know some of you purists are probably screaming at the screen right now, but you tell me in the comments, would you have saved the ED7 or would you have done exactly what I did? It was at this time I took ownership of this EC9 off my brother, and I fitted all the lovely EE9 parts onto it, specifically bonnet, bumper, wings, headlights, filler bar, T-piece, rear disc brakes, exhaust, interior, Watanabe wheels. At this point, it was quite a nice car to drive, and it looked okay too. I used it as my daily for a couple of years. But of course, the rear arches went the way of all Civics and began to give way to the dreaded tin worm. I'd patched them up previously, but it was time for a proper repair, and in 2014, I had them replaced. This next decision completely changed the future of this car. But honestly, the seed for that decision had been planted years earlier. My brother and I were out in my Nissan 300ZX on a private road. We were absolutely flat out, and this little EF Civic flew past us. I remember both of us just looking at each other and thinking, what on earth was in that thing? From that moment on, we were fascinated by what these little cars were capable of. In 2014, I had an opportunity to buy a Mark 1 CRV that had failed its MOT. I'd heard about the B20 VTEC conversion, so I thought, let's go. I had the B16 from the ED7 I broke. I got the harness for that and the EE9 dashboard, the VTEC clocks, and pretty much everything I needed. So I couldn't resist having that B20 block. And obviously I sold everything off the CRV that I could, and I made some money out of that in the process.
It's like winning.
Now, over the next few years, not much happened with the Civic. I had some other cars and the Civic didn't get used much, but I held on to it. It was special to me. I did some small mods like drilling the airbox, fitting a K&N air filter, and my brother came across some SIR door cards which were a nice upgrade. They have this chrome trim along the top. At this point, I realised that it wouldn't take much more to make it look like a real SIR, so I leaned into it. Around 2018, I had a renewed vigour for the Civic. A lot happened. I rebushed the whole suspension and replaced the upper control arms front and back with adjustable items so I could really dial in the geometry. She was resprayed and had a new windscreen. I sent the head to LC porting along with the inlet manifold to be port matched. Then I found what might be the best wheel deal I've ever had. I found a set of scabby, tired-looking Mugen R&Rs that I could see had huge potential. It was just the powder coat that was making them look bad, but they were straight and undamaged. And most importantly, they had a full set of genuine centre caps. They were refurbed so well, they applied such a thin layer of powder coat that you can perfectly see all the embossed bits on the wheels, like this Mugen emblem. They're absolutely stunning. Sometime between then and 2021, I found and fitted a genuine SIR badge. Then I had the windows tinted and had the VTEC decals fitted on doors, but unfortunately the chap fitted them on the wrong sides. which is an easy mistake to make because they look like they should go on this way, but in fact they should look like this. The Civic had always had an unusual power delivery. It did very little up to about 5,000 RPM and then pulled very well up to 7.5. So I decided to take it for a dyno tune with a gent that was renowned for being very knowledgeable on carbs, in the hope there was some more power in the mighty little D14. Well, remember at the start of the video I mentioned a dodgy carb needle mod? Here it is. If you know what you're doing, then you can shave carb needles to allow more fuel through, and when used in conjunction with extra flow, such as performance cams, larger inlet and exhaust, high flow air filters, etc., then this can legitimately increase power. But if you just butcher the carb needle with an angle grinder like this, then no, it's just going to kill the power. Basically, these modded needles were making a run incredibly rich, from 1100 up to about 5000, and what I thought was a power band was actually just a correct fuel air mixture occurring. So I bought some stock carb needles, and would you believe it, she now pulls throughout the whole rev range. And despite the state of the needles, she did manage 114 horsepower on the dyno that day, which I think is great from a 1.4. And by the way, if you've made it this far, comment B20 below so I know who the real OG viewers are, because in a few minutes I'm revealing what you'll be in control of when we hit 10,000 subscribers. And this is where I found out whether any of these mods were actually any good. Fast forward to 2024 and I took her to Track's show event in Silverstone and drove her around the national circuit, which was a massive eye-opener. And obviously it was an incredible buzz, but it quickly revealed her weak points. The suspension was awful and the brakes overheated within 2 laps. Although I was very impressed by the engine, there was a lad in it was an EK with a D14, and he couldn't keep up with me. Although he was getting through the corners quicker, fair play to him. I pass him, but he hangs on to me in the next few corners. Throughout all this time, I was gathering parts for the B20 VTEC build, and one of the things I'd picked up were these Heiko wind deflectors. I really like the way they look, and genuinely wish I bought some ages ago. In 2024, something changed in me. I could see that car culture was doing really well on YouTube. I was watching all of them and started thinking that maybe people would be interested in seeing what I was up to. So I recorded and released my first 3 videos in July of that year. Then something really unexpected happened. People actually started watching, which spurred me on to create another, and well, it's kind of addictive. With each video, the channel grew, and with it, my imagination of what I could achieve with the community around me. And then I nearly made the biggest mistake of this entire project. Last year, I had a bit of a wobble. I saw an EE9 for sale, and the prospect of having a genuine one, not a replica, got under my skin. I contemplated buying the EE9, transferring all my best parts onto it, and then selling this. I made a video on it, and the community came to my side. Everyone felt that I should keep this and carry on the project. And I'm so glad I did. She's my baby, and our journey together is far from over. October last year, we moved house. I'm so happy here. It's a much more pleasant place to work, and with the addition of this ramp, I've never had it so good. So, that's the roundup of the project so far. Me and the Civic have come a long way, and there's much more to come. And I'm making a pledge right now that when this channel hits 10,000 subscribers, I'm letting you decide on the next project. The options are, I could restore a specific car, I could do a crazy mod to this car, I could create a video of your own choice, I could race this car against something. Or something completely ridiculous. And to celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers, I've actually had these stickers made up. I wanted something that is uniquely us, so I present "See you on the beach." And I'm giving 10 of these away for free. Just comment "See you on the beach" below and I'll pick the winners at random. Now, this car has been part of my life for over 15 years. It's survived crashes, bad mods, rust, and nearly being replaced entirely. But the biggest chapter is just beginning. The B20 VTEC swap is next. And if you want to see how that story ends, then you got to subscribe. Now, remember, you can't fail at something you don't give up on. Thanks for watching. See you on the beach.